Hi everyone, welcome to the latest edition of The Plotting Shed, and today I'm joined by Ted Rayment and Neil Leahy from Butler Stag. Welcome chaps.
Hi.
Hello.
How are we doing? You all right?
Very good. How are you?
Podcast virgins, or are you...
We are podcast virgins, yeah.
Very much so.
Okay,
Very much so.
Good stuff. Well, we've obviously had a good session today, catching up in the office, talking about your exciting plans for 2024.
Yeah.
Remember sitting in your office in Essex on a very wet day in December, and all looked very good. How's the year started off for you guys?
Yeah, I think, look, we're 4 weeks in, but loads going on, loads of site visits, appraisals, pricing reports. We're currently dealing with 2 or 3 really exciting opportunities. So, yeah, really busy start.
Ted said that was all his work, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. I'm not sure where you've been, to be fair.
Glory
hunting.
Well, as I said to you guys off camera, obviously what I'm really particularly keen to do today is talk a bit more about your story. Ted, where you've come from. Neil, obviously you set the business up with Michael. It'd be great to hear a bit of your journey. Obviously you've ended up in Land New Homes, smashing it in the first couple of years. Obviously got your head around it. Probably had a few moments, wonder what you're doing or whether you're going in the right direction. But give us, from the business side of things, tell us a bit more about Butler Stag.
So very much, the traditional approach into agency focused on, building a core residential sales and lettings business with property management as well. And having built the foundation strong up to 4 separate offices and divisions, we then kind of took the view that the next step for us was Land New Homes, and to really kind of separate that away from, the day-to-day business and focus on it as 2 separate disciplines. So 2 years in, lots of hard work, lots of ups, downs.
We never said it was going to be easy.
No, definitely not easy. But no, we feel as though that we've kind of, built something pretty special. Brand recognition is out there now. Our Land New Homes business is something to be very proud of.
I wanted to pick up on something that, just sort of looking at the business, and one of the things that really stands out for me with you guys is just your relationship building. Do you feel that that's something that you've always just been particularly passionate about? I'm sort of, nothing seems to faze you guys. Ted, you're a young guy, 25?
26.
26,
Just
sorry,
turned.
26.
Yeah.
You've grown.
I have.
But, that sort of relationship and confidence, do you think that's just kind of culture? Is that in your agency?
I think it's something that comes very naturally to Michael and I, and that's something that we've always kind of put at the forefront of our skill set. And I see a great quote from someone the other day, another agent actually, and it's something that makes complete sense to me. Something that we've done kind of, not accidentally, intentionally. We don't train people to be nice. We employ nice people. And they're not just nice people, they're charismatic, they're honest, they're hardworking, and they do what they say they're gonna do, and they deliver, which is ultimately what we've built the business around.
We see that thriving through your marketing, sense up the brand. Your team obviously very keen to get behind the camera, and obviously no reluctance or shyness there. Is that kind of drilled in from an early point in the business?
I think just the way, I think that there's always been, and we've always known there's a stigma behind the industry. Typically people don't trust estate agents, and
Really?
they're shortlisted, up there next to traffic wardens and politicians. So I think ultimately for us, it's kind of trying to be as transparent as possible, and part of that is getting in front of the camera, lowering the guard, kind of letting our captive audience know that we're very approachable, we're here to help and assist, and we like to think we know what we're talking about.
Good stuff. Ted, not one shy to be behind the camera. We see you on
Forced.
LinkedIn.
Forced behind the camera. No, only joking.
You look like you're sort of, I want to do it. But from your sort of journey into Land New Homes, obviously, you've really embraced LinkedIn. You put yourself out there. You're not afraid to kind of make those calls. What's your background? Obviously, people sort of always ask me who's flying in the network right now, and I'd sort of put you guys right out there, and particularly you Ted, for kind of your way at quite a young age. What's your special ingredient? What's got you where you are?
Butler Stag, really. The environment around there, and so I've worked in other agencies before, but the atmosphere and how everything's approached at Butler Stag's just different to what I'd had previously. They're very engaging and put you on a pedestal to go out there and do what you can do. I think LinkedIn particularly, I'm sure most people have seen my face on LinkedIn
if they haven't, where have they been?
Yeah, exactly. It's as Neil says, it's just getting yourself out there as well. I think it's really important, especially in Land New Homes, and to put a face to a name. So when someone's walking down the high street, for a pure example, they know who you are, they've seen you on socials, and it's a powerful tool. It's really just being a bit more personable.
I think that's the thing for me that sort of, and I say this to our team, it kind of sets everyone apart. I feel now that everyone's got a channel, haven't they? And I think that as younger generation, particularly, we find that it's very much a sort of wants to text message, almost. Even my son, got a mobile phone. Very rarely are like calls made. It's kind of on a text or it's a FaceTime chat or whatever. But I think it's a real point of difference that for certainly younger generation, kind of that bit of getting out there, face-to-face networking, being sort of dropping the guard. There's no
100%.
There's no stigma behind it.
No, 100%. I've got more out of putting videos and on socials, LinkedIn, that sort of thing, more of a response anyway, than I have a generic email that you might send out, obviously coming from behind a computer screen as opposed to putting yourself out there. 100% more impressions and more responses and positive responses from a simple video as opposed to a sort of a canvas email, for example.
Would you say that's kind of got you to where you've got to quicker by doing that, rather than just relying on perhaps some conventional means, or is it just part of the marketing mix?
In some circumstances, 100%. Yeah, it kind of can elevate your profile as well. I mean, I think more people are likely to click on something that's a bit more engaging as opposed to just putting words and text up. If you're there on camera saying something, it doesn't have to be anything particularly important as such. It can be a 5-6 second video, like we've done the other week with our land requirements link. I think it's more engaging, and you're going to get out there more.
Yeah, good
100%.
stuff.
Yeah, I think most successful businesses, when you look, can be kind of class themselves as disruptors, and to be a good disruptor, be known for disrupting for the right reasons. Yeah. You've got to be fairly noisy. And it was massively a Land and New Homes network kind of guidance tool, was that you guys have got to get yourself known on LinkedIn. You've got to get yourself out there. You've got to shout from the rooftops that we specialise in Land and New Homes, and ultimately you've got to be viewed as an expert in your field. And that's something that we've worked extremely hard on, and Ted's very good at.
Good stuff. Well, we were looking at earlier on that you at the order book. Obviously, things look pretty good for the next, for 2024, 2025, and beyond. What do you kind of put that down to? What would you say if an agent was looking at this, or I dare say even one of your competitors? Do you think you've given your competitors a bit of a bloody nose in that space? Was somebody doing it before? And because you guys have got a real foothold on it now, so.
Yeah, I think again, with your kind guidance and Ian's as well, is that rather than, I think the classic resi estate agents will see a site being built and kind of see it all going on and the framework of the buildings going up, and think that we should get that, we're market leaders, that's going to come our way, and they don't really do anything about it. From our perspective, we're building relationships, even possibly in some cases before the planning application's gone in, and we're offering other sites up to these to the developers to make sure that relationships are getting built and formed, and we're then offering a whole host of other services to make sure that we prove our worth, and that ultimately when those new homes are built, they're going to come our way.
What do you think developers have kind of, you've obviously had a warm reaction to that from what stuff that you've done. Obviously, your pricing reports have been elevated, and just sort of your general kind of engagement around land. What do you think the developer in this day and age now, what are they looking for? What do you think you're giving as a point of difference as an agent today than maybe even if you were reflecting sort of 3 or 4 years ago before you were really kind of in the space? What is there anything you could put it down to? Yeah,
I think, look, market insight. I think developers want to know if they're looking at a site and they're pricing up a site, in terms of, are we going to go ahead and purchase? First and foremost, they want to know what the market trends are in the area, what the resale values are, be it pounds per square foot, and what the patterns are in that particular market. And that's something that we've worked extremely hard on, to have that kind of forensic knowledge of each market that we cover, so we can offer that advice and that data. I think secondly, look, most developers want to know where the next site's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a land buyer sitting there, or a land director that's getting paid a salary that they've got to justify, and we want to be top of their contact list, that they know that Butler Stag are serving up the right opportunities. So again, it's just being proactive, being ahead of the curve, which as a typical resi agent we wasn't. We was well behind the curve, and it's in a 2-year period, with your kind assistance, we've managed to kind of push ourselves to the forefront of the arena.
Well, we were talking earlier on about the variety of the sites that you guys are working on, and obviously we're talking some sites that I know 2-3 units, and you're talking like big strategic sites. I know we were talking before Christmas, you're talking about what could be like a big industrial or commercial site. Do you think that's just come about because you've elevated your position in the space, or was it just leveraging relationships you had that just all of a sudden, actually, now I can put my hand up and I'll say yes and I can do that? And
I think I'll...
It's both, really, I think, in a nutshell, because some of them have come from new formed relationships, whether that be us reaching out to people or people seeing what we've been doing in the workplace. Whereas there's different questions to existing relationships that we might not have asked previously because we wasn't working fully and as proactively in that sector. I mean, we talked about earlier with landlords and things like that. Just because they've got one property doesn't mean they might not have 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
So I think they came from existing and just maybe probing and asking different questions, as well as forming them brand new relationships where, as I say, we've become active in those spaces. Yeah, which is important.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Sort of certainly when we were talking about some of those opportunities, just kind of I was sort of come away like in admiration of like thinking, bloody hell, fair play. You've got into that relationship there, and do you think it's just that hustle mentality that you've just instinctively got, or it's LinkedIn?
Yeah, no, I think...
Are you advertising for LinkedIn?
Put your face on LinkedIn.
I would say that the majority of agents that are kind of our kind of size and age as a brand and a company will look at some of those sites and be intimidated by them and think we can't deal with that, we're not possibly big enough. My opinion's always been, if you can sell 1 or 2 homes, you can sell 100 or 200. Okay, it might come with a different level of, or different degree of, kind of organisation and structure to getting those sites away in terms of delivering again on what you say you're going to do, the sales rates that you need to implement to satisfy some of these big developers. But if you can do your job, you can do your job. And why should you be intimidated? We've always been very confident in our brand. We know our brand's very powerful, and it's generally put on a pedestal. People seem to think that we're a lot bigger than we actually are, which I never argue with. No. We're a medium-sized company, but we are attracting attention from some of the regional and certainly national house builders, which is again testimony to the likes of Ted and yourselves to kind of get us to that point.
I think again, this is obviously a point we're talking off camera, but it's kind of you've got your defined territory where you operate as your core brands, but obviously the relationships you're building, Ted, are obviously with developers that. Okay, they want to build in your patch, but actually they'd go further into Essex, up into Hertfordshire, into London. Have you found that sort of, has that excited you more to think that you can actually leverage across a much bigger area and ultimately, bigger opportunity to trade, I guess?
Yeah, 100%. It's nice to build the relationships to an extent where someone might trust you even on a site out of your, as you say, your core patch. And it again comes down to how strong and how well you build them relationships. But it just makes the options almost never ending. Just because you're sat in a desk in where we might be in Thaden or Bow or Buckersteel or Chingford doesn't mean we can't be transacting in central London or Chelmsford or somewhere else out of patch. It's not just being a high street agent where you deal with your 5 mile radius. Essentially you can be
if you're liked and trust, aren't you?
Exactly. Someone's going to come back to you.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the benefit, for plug for the network, obviously being able to tap into another agent that might be in the peripheral area or whatever, to 100%. Kind of give that a bit of additional support. It's obviously, I hope, would be seen as a valuable add-on.
Massively, yeah. I mean, even in conversations with developers that we've been speaking to that might have a site that we're dealing with here, but is also building up north, to being able to, again, a plug for you guys, to be able to say, well, I've got a trusted agent that we deal with up there, here's a name and number, you just put yourself again on another pedestal. You look connected, you look like you know what you're talking about as much as you do.
Well, I think it was interesting, we're talking over lunch about, obviously Stephen, our agent, in Middlesex, obviously talking to you about, if you've got an investor that might look at a site here, obviously a bit of an extreme, obviously one up in Yorkshire, but I suppose again, if that investor, you're in a high net worth area, aren't you? I'm guessing those sort of people, as long as the investment stacks, they're going to look wherever.
Yeah, look, exactly that. A deal is a deal, isn't it? If the deal works, people will go anywhere if the returns are right. So I think, look, it's about offering the right opportunities up, and I think that's again something that we've spent a lot of time on terms of self-development, making sure that we're analysing these opportunities very carefully, and we're not just serving up the same old drivel that the majority of land agents, kind of serve up. We're kind of very keen to retain our credibility. So, the sites that we actually work on, they stack and they work. So the appraisal work that goes into that, it's all quite detailed. But again, it's held us in good stead.
I think it's that thing, isn't it? You're kissing the frogs, as we said earlier on, and there's a lot of sites out there, but there aren't necessarily a lot of sites at the right numbers or deals that work. And obviously, until those vendors get a bit of realisation, probably house builders right now are a little bit more cautious to go rushing into things.
Yeah.
Ted, we're talking about pricing advice earlier on. I know this is obviously something that you're doing lots and lots and lots of pricing reports, and I'm sure you're everyone's best. You love a pricing report. I know our guys that obviously back you up with that stuff.
Always sending wrong documents
to Tom and Chris. They're off camera here, but they're looking on, giving Ted the glare.
Sometimes send the wrong one.
But how's that sort of? How do you feel that the quality of your advice now? That would you position that your intel that you've got as a local agent is obviously that much higher? Do you feel that clients are coming to you because they're really valuing the depth of that piece? Obviously, we were talking earlier on obviously about updating, particularly in this market, pricing a lot more regularly. What's your kind of sort of sentiment around that?
I think what you've just hit on there, the depth of what we go into on a pricing report. It's not just an Excel spreadsheet that's got a list of numbers, here you go. We take a site plan, we sit down, we analyse the site plan, work out which units are the best on the site. Obviously, then they should have an uplift in value. And could this be changed? Could that be changed for the developers? It's not just a set of eyes that knows the property price industry in that sense and can value a unit, because 9 out of 10 agents would be able to say what they think that property might be worth.
Yep.
But what's the floor plan like? Is this maximum value? Is this optimum pounds per square foot? Where are we going right? Where are we going wrong on a site? Which is where I think we've sort of proved our worth and value to developers, from local all the way up to the nationals that we've done a lot of pricing work for, from 3 unit schemes that we look at to 300 unit schemes.
We see that quite a lot, don't we? So in some instances, we've been sent pricing documents over, and the developer has showcased other agents' prices, and you'll see all the 2 beds in at the same price, all the 3 beds in at the same price, and so on. As Ted said, we delve deeper into than that. It's not just pounds per square foot returns. What way do your windows face? What are you next to? Are you next to the affordable element of the site? Do you face the main road? So it's those kind of things, and then we'll offer advice.
It makes such it's a subject that's really sort of close to my heart around the pricing piece and development consultancy, because the impact of just being out by $5,000, all right, massive when you then start to, I'm pricing one at the moment, 200 and something odd units, and I'm looking at the pricing schedule that another agent's done, and there is no logic, there's no comparables, and we've actually stood in the plots, we've looked at what way they're facing, all right, same size unit, but I just think that piece is so overlooked. And if you were being honest with yourself, could you look back in your agency days, maybe when you were asked to price, and do you perhaps sort of question now why you might have lost an instruction, or how you were, how did you approach it?
Yeah, I think that for some agents, they just want to get it off their desk as quickly as possible. It's clogging up their inbox. It's, they're being chased for something. There's 10 other things to deal with. But, for us, where we've removed the new land and new homes away from our core business, it's a focus point for us, and we understand how key that data is to those that are making the decisions, that we've got to be accurate, and ultimately we want the resales. So if we can't deliver on the values that we've suggested and recommended,
you've got to stand by it, haven't you?
Exactly that. We're ready for a lot of egg on our face, and again, we're in this for the long haul. It's always bigger picture for us. So building relationships, showing ourselves as kind of trustworthy advisors is priority.
Good stuff. Right, it's fun time now, chaps. We're talking about football off camera. Ted, Arsenal fan.
Massive
Neil,
going up.
Spurs fans,
Muttins.
I'll quietly say that I'm a Chelsea fan after our recent results.
Agent Poch.
So is it all getting, how are you feeling about it, Ted? Do you reckon you can do it?
I'm quite reserved Arsenal fan, and Neil will tell you that as well.
Really?
We're winning the lot. We're winning the lot. No, look, it's all trending in the right direction. Obviously a massive win at the weekend. Always like taking down Liverpool.
Yeah.
Long way to go. as we always say. And obviously after last year,
it was for that lot getting home.
Yeah, or him coming back from Everton last week. But yeah, look, I'd like to think we're up there at least. We've got to be challenging for it now from where we are. And I have said, I will say it on camera, half fancy us for the Champions League.
Really?
Half. Yes.
Right.
I think we're a little bit better.
Wasn't that long ago though? Was it? There was that website that famously went showing all those weeks and days since Arsenal won a trophy.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Obviously, times have changed. And Neil, Spurs, obviously, what a great ground. Shame about the location.
Yeah, I mean, stadium-wise, what a facility. I mean, Leahy's cracked it on all levels. Entertainment venue. Beyonce was singing there in the summer. We've now got an F1 racetrack, the NFL, and we still haven't sold the naming rights. So Google, Amazon, whoever's coming along,
just a shame about football. Really.
A lot more money to come in. And what is he? 6 months in. Big project going on, sold our best player, and weirdly we look stronger for it. So
you liking him being there?
Love him. Yeah. And I think the neutral loves him. I think he's very difficult. You do like him. I think he's very, very difficult to dislike. He doesn't get involved in the handbag nonsense that most managers get involved in. I think he's quite respected. Kind of bit gung-ho with some of his tactics and the high line, but we're an entertaining watch, an entertaining but frustrating watch.
But you're a dedicated season ticket holder, I'm guessing, and
no, I haven't got a season ticket. Interrupts with
just
golf.
Hospitality, then,
interrupts with golf. Yeah, hospitality. Hospitality. But no, I can generally always get tickets. My son loves to go, and we've just come back from Everton away, which is our first away trip of the season. Good to see Goodison before they depart the ground and go to their new ground.
Great. You had wheels on the car when you got back?
What's that, sorry?
The wheels on the car when you got back?
Wheels were on the car, yeah. I had to Pascal, so I'd sit there for a couple of hours. Luckily, he was an honest one.
I'm joking. Anyone watching from Liverpool? I'm only joking. So look, obviously networking, we were talking about that earlier on. We're heading fast into the spring. Obviously, you guys are both big golfers. A bit daunted to obviously go and do a round with you guys, but those invites must be flooding in for all sorts of networking and social events. I saw that you went up to something in London the other day. Teddy, how's the diary shaping up for your social calendar?
Yeah, Thursday, Fridays are a bit booked.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So
most
you're not
of
around?
The year's out. I'm not about. Yeah.
So handicaps coming down?
Handicaps on the descent, yeah.
We've got quite a good...
We have actually.
We've got one booked in on the 21st of May, which is at the Grove, which I've never played.
Love
and I'm
the
really
Grove.
looking forward to it. And that is a property people networking event. So land agents, architects, solicitors, I think they're all going to be there, developers. And what I've heard is as well, it's obviously competitive, so scoring system, but the scoring system shuts down on the 15th. So on the buggies, so you can't see who's won it for the final 3 holes, which is quite a good way of doing things, I think. So yeah, it'll be our first year doing that. We've got a 4-ball booked in. But yeah, loads of tentative inquiries. Everyone's just waiting for it to get a bit warmer.
Cheltenham, off to Cheltenham.
We haven't booked it this year. We've done the last couple of years.
I thought that was your staple in the diary.
I know, it was kind of Cheltenham, Mippin. Do we do either? And at the minute, we're not doing any of them. So too much going on at the moment in the market. It's heating up nicely. So we've kind of taken the view, let's just get our heads down, focus on work, recover from an indifferent, volatile year last year, and get back in the game. So
yeah, it's interesting actually. We've decided to give Mippin a swerve this year. We've enjoyed it, over the last few years. We actually famously went out the year of COVID. Wonder what was going on when there's only 4 of us on the plane. But yeah, we're going to give it sorry? It was like a private jet. And Matt Nichol, who's coming on a podcast, he managed to fulfil his lifelong dream of doing the worm down the aisle of an EasyJet flight and made Yahoo history, and I think it paid for his MIPIM trip actually. So yeah, good work, Matt. But yeah, so obviously I think on that same side, I think, markets really seems, from my sense, a lot of developers right now needing a bit of help. Seems to be a massive amount of opportunity. Obviously, lots of speculation around what the land market's done, but I guess like us, are just a heads down. Let's get on with it. Make hay while hopefully the sun shines, and set ourselves up for a good year.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think it's about perception, isn't it? And when it's been slightly tougher times in terms of new homes resales, etc. you want to be seen to roll your sleeves up and get to the grips and start getting some results and sales on the board. So, buggering off to Cheltenham for a week or jetting out to Mippin's, all great for networking and new business, but you've got to deal with a business that's under your nose. And I think, most of our developers are grateful for that. So
I'd agree with that. It's one of the things that our old boss at Rayment used to say, lots of our competitors would always be on the golf course, and we joke obviously about playing golf and whatever, but it's important in one way to obviously get out and network, but I think clients do have a lot more respect for you for actually rolling your sleeves up, getting the job done. There's plenty of time for celebrating once the job's done, and I think in this market as we are right now, I think that's that's certainly the order of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
So look, wrapping things up with you guys on the podcast, what for you, what's your ambitions for the next 12, 24 months? Where do you see the direction of travel? How are you seeing things, I guess? Where do you want to be, Ted? What's the vision? What's the big plan, mate?
On a golf course, then Cheltenham, then Mippin.
Yeah. All those things you were promised that aren't happening this year, yeah?
That's it. Out of office.
Big carrot was dangled, next year, Ted, 2024, we're going to Mippin and Cheltenham.
Let me know when interest rates have come down. I'll come back.
Be a member at the Grove, that's what I'll be, In all seriousness, just carrying on as we are. I think we've made massive strides since we first started the Land and New Homes side of the division. Obviously, I came straight out of the Resi sales office, brand new into it, so it was a complete new concept for me.
Apparently nobody put boards up like Ted Rayment.
No one, just anywhere. Bit of grass, stick a board up.
Anywhere,
so from seeing us from when I first came over, obviously with the guys and from where we are now, I mean, we'd have given our right arm to be where we are today from that day, which is brilliant, and it's only growing. So just to crack on as we are, and obviously hopefully get a bit more success on some of the deals that we've had going through, and the new home sites that we've got, hopefully just fulfilling the developers' needs and getting people moving.
Well, it's great watching your journey, Ted. Very excited to see where it's going to be. Hopefully, make sure it doesn't get poached by one of these bloody developers. We know what they're like when they come sniffing around. So
I block the calls on a daily basis.
I'm going to put a word of warning on the podcast. Ted is not touchable. You cannot
exactly
touch,
that. Exactly. I've told the market leaders in Dubai to leave him alone. He's staying here.
It's too hot out there.
Golf for you, Neil, with business?
I think, look, just continue to grow it at a manageable pace, and by that I mean organic. No forced growth. We want to continue to deliver on our promises and move forward. I think from a land and an opportunity perspective, there's plenty going around, and it's a great time to buy, which is the message that we're sending to developers, because ultimately what you're building out now, you're going to be selling in a much, much stronger market in 2025. So we have a bit of sun on our backs then, we all hope. And also, just for a steady market this year. I think last year was clearly volatile because rates were rising. They now seem to have settled. Hopefully we'll get a rate cut in March, which is being projected. And just a bit more action and activity, and help our developers get sold and move on to the next one.
Good stuff. Well, we're looking forward to being part of that journey and seeing what more we can do across that wider Essex patch and beyond. I think there's loads to go after.
Indeed.
Lots of clients on our target hot list. So if you're not talking to Butler and Stag in that part of the world, you definitely should be. Ted has a treasure trove of land opportunities bubbling away nicely there.
We do indeed.
And could be sweetened with obviously a trip to Cheltenham or around a golf.
Yeah,
so he's easily bought. So thanks for coming in today, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Great to catch up.
Yeah,
Cheers.
brilliant.
Cheers,
Thank
Kevin.
you.